Welcome to the Jungle Discipleship School podcast.
My name is David Small, and I'll be your host on this podcast for the next little bit. And wherever this finds you, I hope it finds you well and blessed more than you deserve. And thanks for being with us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following along with me and my ministry and the Jungle Discipleship School. It's an honor that you're giving up your time, giving up your attention, and being with us. It is Friday, October 3rd, and it's the end of a long week here at camp, but a good week. And camp is buzzing. They're all having a volleyball tournament down, and I snuck away up the mountainside to get a bit of a podcast recorded for you guys, just to get something out and just to keep you guys updated. And as I look down on the camp, I can see the dogs running around, and I can see somebody's working out, and the volleyball game is going on, and some people are off to the river to take a bath. And it's just great. It's great to be here. It's great to be present on campus. And we had a great week this week. We finished a week studying the character and nature of God. And this is a class that actually I didn't teach last year. So I had to prepare notes and do some research and do some reading. And I got some stuff from Cru, from Campus Crusade. And it was great just to go through some of their literature on the character and nature of God, and why bother studying about God's character and God's nature. And so this week we looked at 13 aspects of God's character, and just to lay some groundwork, lay a foundation for our students. And let's see if I can name the 13. So first is that God is a personal spirit. He wants to be in a relationship with us. He knows everything about us, but he also wants to be known by us, which is pretty cool. And then God is all powerful. God is present everywhere, and God knows everything, the three omnis. And then we went into, I taught this week, and it's the end of the week and my brain is fried. And so now I'm trying to remember off the top of my head here. God is holy. God is sovereign. God is righteous. We talked about the difference between holiness and righteousness. God is just. God is truth. God is love. God never changes. God is merciful. God is faithful. And maybe I'm missing one or two. Anyways, was that 13? Was anybody counting? But we looked at these kind of characters of God, or these characteristics of God, and then looked at the scriptures and what does the Bible actually say about each of these different things. And it was pretty cool to look at, cool to teach it, and interesting for our students. Our students did a great job just being attentive. And I didn't have, like last week was a lot of story as we looked at God's big story. We there's a narrative to the lesson. And as we get into other topics, God as Father, God as Jesus, God as Holy Spirit, there's a narrative to some of these classes, and our own narrative weaves in and out of it. And this week's class was a first for me, but it was also a little bit less narrative and a little bit more just kind of knowledge. And I'm not very good at teaching knowledge classes. So I did my best to make it interesting, to make it exciting. And we had a great week. And next week we've got a guest teacher coming in, a pastor, a Karen pastor. And he's coming up on Monday, and we'll spend the week here teaching on spiritual leadership. And he teaches at the Karen Army Officer Training School. He teaches the Karen Army. He teaches their officers spiritual leadership. And so it's going to be exciting to have him here. And I get a week off from teaching, which is going to be great. And I get to prepare for my next series that I'm teaching on, which is God as Father and knowing the Father heart of God. I just finished reading a book, and if you get the 5 Bullet newsletter, you would have seen it in this past week's update. But the newsletter always has a book recommendation and song recommendation and a quote to ponder. And the book that I just finished reading this morning actually is called Peace Child by Don Richardson, a good old Canadian. And I finished Bruchko a while ago, and I was reading Peace Child, and I've just been wrestling with these thoughts or these ideas, and it kind of came up recently because I was challenged by a mentor of mine. We had a late night call a few weeks back, and this concept for me to just be alone here. I spent all summer. You can listen to my preachy last podcast if you missed it, but I spent all last summer trying to recruit some staff to come and be here and serve with me. Last year I had Zadok and Claire here, and they did a great job, and it was great to just have some friends that were here. And the thing that I've been wrestling with, and as I read stories like Peace Child, Don Richardson and his wife, they go to the Sawi, I don't know how to pronounce it, Sawi, S-A-W-I, the tribe in Papua New Guinea, and basically are the first missionaries to settle and live amongst this tribe. And then Bruchko obviously goes to South America and just wanders off the grid until he finds the Indian tribe that he's looking for, and basically lives with them, moves in and makes his home there. And both of them had, to some extent, Bruchko more than Peace Child, but they have this concept of how can I not infiltrate the ethnic group I'm coming to serve by forcing my culture upon them. However, how can I bring the gospel into their culture? And it's an interesting thing to think about, an interesting subject. But the thing that has really struck me is that in both of these cases, they're fairly alone with the ethnics. They don't have a team of people. They don't have this rotation. And I'm out here alone serving JDS, running JDS, teaching the classes. And this thought has been just, I don't know how to process this thought. Maybe one of you is much smarter than I am, can give me some feedback on this, but there's just this concept of, and I was challenged on it a few weeks ago by my mentor, one of my mentors, who said, what's it like to be alone out there, and how do you, what do you do for community? And I had to pause to think about it, and I rattled off some answer, but what I was really struck by was, well, I'm not alone. I have 49 other people living in community here with me. And I have 49 people that we cook together, and we eat together, and we learn together, and we exercise together, and we have fun together, and we have struggles together, and we have conflict together. And there's this idea, and I was thinking about it as I was reading Peace Child, is that Don and his wife, maybe her name was Kathy or Carol. Anyway, they were basically alone as foreigners with the ethnic tribe. And I find myself in a very similar place where I'm in Burma. I've moved in here. I have put my home here. I spend the majority of my year here. Why should I consider myself to be alone? Why does it, I get it that there's a part of it that is like, okay, who are you going deep with? Who are your few? I understand that concept. But I don't want to discount the possibility of the few being of a different race or ethnicity than what I am. And it's easy to ask the question, oh, you're all alone there in the jungle, but I'm actually not all alone here in the jungle. I'm in the midst of a bustling, happy, pretty healthy community. And I need to guard myself against isolation. And I mean, I was trying to recruit people all summer to come out here and be with me because I don't want to be the only foreigner out here. And when a few weeks back when we had some students arrested and I was negotiating with a bunch of different parties to get them back, I realized what I wanted, what I was longing for was companionship. That, okay, I can teach the class, I can run this thing, but what I really long for out here is companionship, in the sense of I want somebody that I can vent to. I want somebody that I can just bounce ideas off of. I want somebody that I can exchange a glance with and roll my eyes to, and they know, oh man, like, I get it. I get what you're facing. I get what you're feeling. And it doesn't have to be a foreigner to do that. There are I have some amazing friends out here. I have people that there's all sorts of different levels of relationship that I navigate on a daily basis here and that I have here. I have some here that are purely students that look to me as the director or the teacher or the leader. And the relationship is very much you are the boss and I am the student. And I will respect that relationship. And yet I have others that are here that are also students. Bayray, for example, is a second-year student. But Bay and I have been journeying together for 9 years now, and have a much, much deeper relationship. And then I have others that are like brothers, and then, like I mentioned in my episode last week, there is, like Daousei, who is basically, I'm his guardian out here, and he's looking to me as a father figure in his life to guide and lead him. I saw him yesterday as our senior group went up to the IDP camp to lead the youth group. And anyways, it was great to just see him. And anyways, so navigating relationships, navigating my own community, and all these thoughts. And I wanted to just ramble about it a little bit so that we can all reflect on our own communities and where we are finding companionship, where we are finding friendship, where we are finding, Dan Allender says, find like-hearted kings, sign treaties with them. When one is at war, all are at war. And yeah, it's just, we need those few in our lives. We need those people in our lives that are there as friends, that are there as brothers, that are walking alongside us and encouraging us in the same direction. And it's interesting to think about. Something cool, I think it's cool, interesting, whatever we want to use word here, we're trying to do, is something cool that we're trying out is a sponsor a student kind of deal. And this is something I've been thinking about for a while and was like, do I have the capacity to do this? I'm not sure, but let's give it a shot. Like anything else I try to do, I'm like, I have no idea if I have the capacity to see this through, but I'll give it a shot. And so we started this new thing called Sponsor a Student. And if you go to jds.asia, or if you go to junglediscipleshipschool.com, you can click and sponsor a student or read a little bio from each student. And the way it works is that each student can only be sponsored one time. I remember, these sponsor a child kind of programs used to come to the church, and they would set out a table once a year and they'd have all the sponsored children on there. And some of these sponsor agencies allow children to be sponsored more than once. My dear friend Mike, he works for Compassion International, and he was telling me that those kids, they can only be sponsored one time, and once a kid is sponsored, they are no longer available to be sponsored again. And I think that's kind of cool. Sorry, I'm just having a drink here, and so I thought, okay, what if we could set up something like that for our students? And I remember when I was a kid, my family had a sponsor child through World Vision, and we used to be big, and I used to be big in the 30-hour famine. My dear friend Dan McCann He and I hosted the greatest 30-hour famine that Kenora has ever seen. But anyways, that's another story. So I thought, well, yeah, I remember I had this sponsor child, or our family had a sponsor child, and we used to write letters back and forth, and I have no idea who this sponsor kid was, or even, I think he was in like somewhere in Central America or whatever. And I would get these letters back from him 2 or 3 times a year, and it was always kind of cool. Excuse me. But anyways, I thought, okay, so what if we could set up something where somebody sponsors a student, and one sponsor per student, they get their own private ability to connect with the student. And so we've set up these message boards, basically like a message board on the JDS website. And once you sponsor a student or select a student to say, hey, I want to sponsor the student, then you'll get access to this private message board where you can then get updates. I'm going to try, again, this is all about margins and capacity, but I'm going to try to have the students write something to their sponsor once a week. I gulp at that thought, but once a week or once a month or once every couple of weeks to share a little update. It'll most likely be written in Burmese, and you're going to need Google Translate, which is what I do, to translate things. And if they have a special prayer request, or they have a photo, or if the JDS staff, which is myself or some of our other leaders, ethnic leaders out here, want to share an update about that person or a photo about that person, we can put it on the message board. But it's not going to be like a back and forth, like a group chat, but it's going to be a bit slower pace than that. But it'll just be a place where you can pray for that student, bless, encourage that student, get to know the student a little bit, hear a little bit about what they're going through, their life. And yeah, I just thought it'd be a cool thing. And we've had one student sponsored so far. So right now, all of our senior class, the students that were a part of JDS 1, the original group that have returned and has decided to be a part of JDS 2 as a senior group or a second year student. So I've got all of them up on the website already. And I'm just going to kind of gauge the reaction and how the response is to this. And then we'll slowly see if we want to add the first year students, the new students. It does take some man hours to do this kind of thing. And so I'm going to start with the senior group and see how it goes. And ultimately, at the end of the day, full disclosure, this is a fundraising campaign. I do think it's cool for there to be a connection between the outside world and our students. And I think our students are so awesome. And I want you people who journey alongside us to get to know our students as well. However, it is a fundraising, and I'm trying to get more money, but I'm trying to get outside funding or different people interested in funding, or somebody who hasn't already been a part of our typical donation cycle, to just sign up to give. And maybe this will be something unique that people will be interested in, who's never given before. And if somebody is a regular donor, wants to give, then and they want to give more to be a part of this new campaign, awesome. And if you're feel like it's unfair, then reach out to me. But the idea is just to solicit more donations. And my plan for this is that in reality, we all need to eat. And I want the students to have good nutrition and good food here. And that's our biggest expense. And we just burn through cash. We burn through cash like crazy. And so I'm just trying to get a unique way to have more funds come in, a unique way to connect the students to our donors and our donors to our students. But also, I want to put aside a little bit of this money that we can use in a collective pool for would be Christmas presents or graduation gifts. Christmas is fast approaching, like time is flying, and it's something that takes a lot of time and a lot of planning and a lot of extra money. And I'd like to be able to bless all of our students with, a hoodie for cold season. And last year we were able to buy all the guys pocket knives, and we were able to get all the girls these little boxes. And some of my friends at FBR helped put together some kind of girl specific boxes, like Tupperware boxes full of unique little things that the girls would like. And I like to just bless our students with these kind of things. But if we can't afford to eat, we can't buy those kind of things. And so I'm hoping that if we could, if we were able to sponsor every single one of our students, that would be 45,000 new donation dollars coming in. That would really put us in a place of saying, okay, we've got our food situation covered for the school year, basically. And we can put aside some money for things like that. And, mission is coming up fast. We're only, it's the 3rd of October. We're 2 months away from stepping off on our mission. And that's going to cost, $5,000-$6,000, the mission. And I feel like the mission is a great thing. It's great for our students, for them to put some of these things that they're learning into practice. It's great for us to go and be a blessing, to bring a cup of cold water in the name of Jesus to people who are really in hard situations. But also we get to bring the gospel to places like if you followed along, or if you heard me speak over the summer, going to Wamu's village, we get to bring the gospel to places that have never heard the gospel before. And our students get to be a part of that journey of saying, here's the Bible. This is the story that God is telling. These are some of the characteristics of the God that I've come to know as I've studied at JDS, and we want to share our God with you. And so, yeah, these missions are not cheap, but it's just something we're trying to budget for and plan for. And so student sponsorship, it's a new thing we're trying. And so pray about it. If God puts it on your heart to sponsor one of our students, reach out to me and let me know what you're thinking about and any questions you have about it. Or you can just go on the JDS website and click on the Give tab. And you can set up a sponsorship to have a connection with one of our students. And it'd be awesome for you, awesome for our students, and it'd be a big blessing for all of us here at JDS. I'm thankful you guys are with us. I'm thankful you're tuning in. I'm thankful for those of you who pray for us. And it's hard at times to wear many different hats. And what our students really need is love and mentorship and engagement. And, I was thinking about my dear friend Wilma and some of my friends at Cornerstone Christian School there in Emo. And I just thought, man, this new school year comes on and it's like you've been all summer. And for me, especially, I hurt my back and I did no physical training all summer. And then I got out here to the jungle and I started doing some training, and your body just hurts. Those first weeks of getting back into a physical training routine, it just sucks. Your body hurts, everything hurts. You're tired. You don't want to do it. And I kind of thought, oh man, my first 2 weeks now, I've done 2 weeks of back-to-back teaching all day. And I was like, whew, I'm exhausted. It's so tiring. And I give credit to those teachers that do this day in, day out, year in, year out. And they're awesome. A good teacher. I know Mrs. Koistras is an awesome, awesome teacher. And I know there's some great teachers. I've had these amazing teachers in my life. I remember Miss Hawkins, my 3rd grade teacher, who would encourage creative writing. And she had a basket that every week, anytime you wanted in your free time to do creative writing, you could write a creative story, and put it in the basket. And once a week, she would make time to sit and read the creative stories that the students, and I wanted a story in that basket every week. And she was a teacher who, inspired me to, and gave me a love of creativity and a love of writing. And my fourth, I had fourth and fifth grade was a split class for me. And I had Miss Gruen and another teacher co-teach together. I don't remember her name right now. Grade 4 was a long time ago for me, but they were so awesome. And then in grade 6, I had Mr. Townsend, and he expected a high standard from us, but gave us the confidence that we could achieve that standard. And I just remember throughout my education having these awesome teachers. And I like to think I'm a good teacher, but man, it's tiring. Both my parents were teachers, and I remember my dad would come home at the end of the day and he'd just want to take an hour to just like chill out and not be pestered and not be, bothered to do all these things, because it's tiring. You come home at the end of the day. I'm sure this is the same for anybody working all day. You're exhausted at the end of the day. And I come back to this idea of, yes, what we teach in the curriculum is good. What we teach in the curriculum is important. It's the core meat and potatoes of why we are here as JDS and why we are doing all this work to run this thing. But I also have been reminding myself, I find myself at the end of the day, we do our last roll call, 6:30 p.m. We have roll call, and we just kind of do some evening announcements for the day, pray together before bed, and then the password for the internet changes, and then we have Starling time. The students get Starling time until 9, and then 9 p.m. is kind of lights out. I'm usually already asleep by 8:30, but I find myself wanting to just veg out, turn my brain off, and watch a TV show, watch an episode of something. Big race this weekend in Formula One, Singapore Grand Prix. So go check that out. But, like completely turn your brain off. But I also have been reminding myself, don't be too tired to play cards with the students. Don't be too tired to just go and sit in the shop. We now have a little shop, and go and sit in the shop where everyone gathers and just veg and just chill out with them and make jokes with them and just be present with them, because that's what is really important, is that we get to just love these students, and I get to just love the students and be present. And I say we collectively, because I wish I had a staff here to come and just to love on the students. And it's in those times playing cards. This past summer, I was in Phoenix, and I learned this game called The Mind, where you have to lay down cards, and you're not allowed to speak, and you have to lay them down in numerical order. And anyways, I brought this game with me here from Phoenix, and it's fun just to go and play it. Or we play Dutch Blitz, and I get my butt kicked every time because they've learned it and they're so fast at it. And we have a board game called Sequence, and some of them are really great at chess. And don't be too tired to just be present and spend time with the students. And I remind myself of this daily. And then the next morning when I wake up and I slowly make coffee, one of the first prayers that kind of rumbles off my lips is, Jesus, here's the loaves and fishes that I have for today. I have this much energy. I have this much brain capacity. I have this much heart that I can offer to my students today. So please, Jesus, I want a miracle. I want to see a miracle. And my prayer as I've approached JDS2 has been, Jesus, I trust you. I trust you with the finances. I trust you that you will give me the capacity to do what I can do for these students. Not more, not less. Exactly what you want. And so I'm trying to attune my heart to be attentive to the nudges of Jesus to say, hey, go and, put your arm around that person, or go and play a game of cards with that person, and or go and just sit and listen to them play music or watch them play sports. And anyway, so yeah, it's an encouragement for, I'm sure those those of you with kids feel the same way. You come home exhausted at the end of the day and your kids need attention. Man, it's tough. It's tough. But I feel for you. I'm with you. I'm thankful that you are with us as a group at JDS. And if you're interested in sponsoring a student, please get in touch. If you're interested in or have questions about that, please reach out to me, email me. If you would like to know more about coming to visit JDS or how you can get involved as a staff member, please reach out as well. And yeah, thanks for your prayers. Thanks for being with us. If you are a prayer warrior and you want to be a part of our WhatsApp prayer group, I try to send something at least once a week. No pressure to be a part of that, but we also have a newsletter, a prayer newsletter list, and yeah, our 5-bullet newsletter. Lots of ways to stay in touch. Oh, and I'm super thankful. I've got a friend. This family is just a dear friend of mine, and when I was visiting with them in Phoenix this summer, their high school daughter was schooling me on the ways of social media and basically telling me what an idiot I am when it comes to social media. And so I've challenged her to put her money where her mouth is, and she's volunteered to help run our social media. So you may notice a slight change in our social media in the coming weeks and months. And that's because I've got a helper who's helping me with that. And I'm super thankful. And you can pray for her because she's a high school student in the US and she's got a ton going on in her life. And yeah, she wants to volunteer and help and serve and volunteer her time for that as well. So bless her in her efforts there and bless her family. But anyways, okay, that's enough for today. Thanks for being with us. It's a Friday afternoon and I'm looking forward to a weekend of rest and camp work and preparing. Oh, I just hear thunder in the distance. A storm is coming. I wonder if that is, what do we call it in the writing world? Prophetic fallacy. No, I don't know if that's the right word. But anyways, last comment here. Speaking of the writing world, in the vast amounts of free time that I have, I am writing and working on finishing a book. And my goal is to have a book out before Christmas of this year. However, I've got the manuscript done, but I'm at the editing phase. And so if any of you listening are or know a professional editor and you feel like you want to edit a book for free or very cheaply, I would love the help. I don't have much money to offer. I have an editor that I really love, but for my manuscript, he wants about $4,000 or $5,000 US, and it's just kind of out of my price range. So I'm tossing it to the crowdsourcing social world. And yeah, if you know anyone who is an editor, or if you yourself are an editor, get in touch with me because I would love to have an editor to do a pass of my manuscript before it goes to the publisher. And more to follow on that exciting news. And, you know, if I can happen to get a book out before Christmas season, that would be a miracle as well. But anyways, I'm working on it in my free time. And if it does come to fruition, then there will be a lot of publicity and promotion and help needed to get that out as well. So you are my band of merry men and women who are with me, and I'm thankful, and I pray for you, and I bless you in Jesus' name.